Los Angeles, you can't get proper amounts of water. It's so dry. And I thought they were going through like a desert, like a drought. They said, no, we have water.
Donald Trump has never been shy about making bold warnings, and two of his most striking ones have proven eerily accurate. His cautionary statements about California's poor water and forest management, as well as Europe's dependence on Russian energy, were initially dismissed as exaggerated or politically motivated. However, the passage of time has revealed the prescience of these warnings, prompting renewed attention and debate. In California, the consequences of mismanagement have become impossible to ignore. Devastating wildfires have ravaged the state, fueled by poor resource management and extreme weather conditions. Trump's criticism focused on the state's approach to both water and forest management, warning that these failures would lead to catastrophic outcomes. Sadly, his predictions have come true. Fast-moving fires have engulfed Southern California, fueled by dry conditions and strong winds, leaving families, businesses, and communities vulnerable. Central to California's crisis is the issue of water mismanagement. Contrary to popular belief, the state's water crisis is not solely about scarcity, but about inefficient use and distribution. Millions of gallons of water are intentionally diverted into the Pacific Ocean each year to protect the Delta smelt, a small fish that thrives in other regions and is not endangered. While environmental conservation is crucial, Trump argued that this practice is deeply flawed. The diversion leaves fire-prone areas dry and farmlands barren, exacerbating the risk of wildfires and threatening the state's agricultural economy. The consequences of these policies are stark. During wildfires, firefighters often struggle to find enough water to combat the flames. In the 2018 Camp Fire alone, over 10,000 structures were destroyed, and damages exceeded $16.5 billion, according to the California Department of Insurance. Entire neighborhoods were reduced to ash, lives were upended, and economic losses mounted. Trump voiced frustration over the state's handling of water resources, stating, "You have so much water up north, but they send it into the ocean. This water could save farms and put out fires, but instead, they let it flow away." The agricultural sector, a cornerstone of California's economy, has also suffered immensely. Generating over $50 billion annually from crops such as almonds, grapes, and strawberries, the industry employs more than 400,000 people. Yet these farms are increasingly at risk due to insufficient water supplies. Trump described seeing once thriving fields reduced to barren landscapes, emphasizing that proper water distribution could restore these agricultural areas and support the livelihoods of countless families. The mismanagement of water resources is not just wasteful, it's dangerous. Wildfires have compounded the state's challenges, draining public funds and displacing thousands of families. According to a 2020 study by the Legislative Analyst's Office, wildfire recovery costs in California exceeded $20 billion over 5 years. The state's tax base has also suffered as high-income residents leave fire-prone areas, further straining public resources. Trump's warnings about underutilized water reserves highlighted a glaring contradiction. Vast amounts of water are either wasted or reserved due to regulatory policies, while critical needs like firefighting and agriculture go unmet. He pointed to reservoirs and water storage systems that remain underutilized even during crises. "You want to know what puts out fires? Water," Trump stated. "But they don't use it. They let it sit there while homes burn and farmland dries up." Research supports this concern. In 2021, the Public Policy Institute of California reported that nearly 50% of the state's water distribution was allocated to environmental purposes, often at the expense of urban and agricultural needs. Efficient water allocation could mitigate wildfires, revitalize agriculture, stabilize the economy, and protect communities. As calls for reform grow louder, the need for strategic water management has never been more urgent. Beyond water issues, Trump also criticized California's forest management practices. He highlighted the dangers of allowing dead trees, dry leaves, and debris to accumulate, turning forests into tinderboxes. Healthy forests, he argued, soak up water and act as natural fire barriers. When a tree falls, Trump explained, it becomes firewood after 18 months. It's so dry it's like lighting a match. But when a tree is standing, it soaks up water and doesn't burn as easily. Europe has also faced the consequences of ignoring Trump's warnings. During his speech at the United Nations, he criticized Europe's heavy reliance on Russian energy, predicting that this dependence would lead to geopolitical and economic vulnerabilities. At the time, his remarks were met with skepticism and even ridicule. Yet the Russia-Ukraine conflict has since triggered an energy crisis across Europe, vindicating his concerns. As European nations scramble to diversify their energy sources and reduce their reliance on Russian gas, the significance of Trump's warnings has become evident. His foresight underscores the importance of energy independence and the need for proactive strategies to safeguard national and economic security. In both California and Europe, Trump's warnings were initially dismissed, only to be validated by subsequent events. The consequences of ignoring these warnings have been severe, highlighting the importance of addressing critical issues proactively rather than reactively. By learning from these crises, policymakers can adopt smarter, more sustainable strategies that protect communities, economies, and the environment for generations to come. This isn't just theoretical speculation. It's rooted in real-world examples. Former President Donald Trump highlighted countries like Austria and Canada as models for effective forest management. In Austria, forest maintenance includes regular clearing of fallen trees and debris, which helps prevent the accumulation of dry fuel that can spark devastating wildfires. Canada follows similar practices, resulting in fewer destructive fires. These countries demonstrate how proactive forest management can lead to healthier ecosystems and safer communities. In stark contrast, the fires in Los Angeles serve as a tragic example of what happens when such preventive measures are neglected. With overgrown vegetation and unmanaged areas, the flames quickly consumed everything in their path. Entire neighborhoods were reduced to ashes, families were left devastated, and the city faced one of its worst disasters in recent memory. Trump was vocal about how these issues could have been mitigated. According to him, federal resources and plans for improved water and forest management had already been approved. He claimed to have negotiated solutions, but these efforts stalled due to political resistance. "I got it all done," Trump stated. "Everything was approved. All they had to do was sign, but they didn't. Why? Politics. That's the only explanation." The refusal to act, Trump argued, was not just a political blunder, but a betrayal of the people most affected by these disasters. From farmers watching their crops wither to families losing their homes, the consequences of inaction were severe and far-reaching. Trump also pointed to similar failures in Jasper, Canada, where leaders ignored warnings about the dangers of neglecting forest maintenance. The result was widespread devastation, mirroring the fires in Los Angeles. These incidents are not isolated. They reflect a larger pattern of mismanagement with deadly consequences. The fires in Los Angeles were more than just a tragedy. They were a wake-up call, exposing deep flaws in California's water and forest management policies. Trump's warnings weren't merely criticisms. They were calls to action. California possesses the resources needed to thrive, including water, forests, and the innovation required to implement solutions. What's lacking is the leadership to prioritize and execute these measures. Without change, fires like those in Los Angeles will only become more frequent and destructive. However, with better management, California can protect its communities, rebuild its economy, and ensure a safer future. Trump's cautionary message extended beyond California to the international stage. In his 2018 speech at the United Nations, he issued a stark warning about the risks of Nord Stream 2. Germany will become totally dependent on Russian energy if it does not immediately change course, he declared. Trump's criticism wasn't solely about energy. It was about strategy and security. He argued that the pipeline would deepen Europe's vulnerability, granting Russia greater leverage over European politics and economies. At the time, many dismissed Trump's warning as hyperbolic and self-serving, interpreting it as a push to promote U.S. liquefied natural gas, LNG, exports rather than a genuine concern for Europe's stability. German officials defended their energy ties to Russia as pragmatic and beneficial. However, the Russia-Ukraine conflict forced a re-evaluation of these assumptions, proving Trump's warnings prescient. Before the war, Russia supplied over 40% of Europe's natural gas. For Germany, the figure was even higher, with more than half of its gas coming from Russian pipelines. This dependence created a strategic vulnerability, as Trump had predicted. When tensions escalated, Moscow wielded energy as a weapon. The resulting energy crisis exposed the true cost of reliance on a single supplier. Gas shortages and soaring prices rippled across Europe, burdening families and businesses. Utility bills surged, inflation climbed, and industries faced shutdowns due to unaffordable energy costs. And building a future where energy and environmental management are strengths, not weaknesses.